All right, welcome everybody to the Partner IT inaugural webinar. We'll get into just a quick summary of what we are going to cover this morning, and then we'll go through a little bit of housekeeping and see if we can educate some of our audience on how to ask questions during the presentation. The first thing we want to go through, well actually, I want to see if you guys can hear me okay. Could anyone, everyone, somebody just please type into the little questions window there, and just yes, no. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks, John. Jenny, Ted. All right, great, guys. Thank you very much for that feedback. Perfect.
A couple of people are on hands at this stuff.
Yeah, excellent. All right, so what we're going to cover this morning, we'll get the serious stuff out of the way. The first thing we want to talk about is a trend called BYOD, which stands for Bring Your Own Device. We'll go through that in a little bit more detail shortly. Then we want to talk a little bit about tablets and notebooks versus laptops, where the trend is and what we're seeing in the IT front, and what our customers are giving us as feedback. As IT people, our help desk is always inundated with different questions about these type of devices, which is the right one to buy, when's the right time to buy. So we'll go through that in a little bit more detail. And then myself and Boyd will go through a couple of items in regard to apps, specifically around probably the iPad, but Android compatible as well, just to help or tools that we use for productivity in our business world.
You just keep going, mate. I'm going to keep drinking coffee.
Oh, yeah, okay, great.
That's awesome.
I've been banned from coffee, so if I'm talking fast, just that I'm really excited to be here. So
probably should do a little bit of housekeeping first, shouldn't we?
Yeah, let's get into that. So what we want to, not everybody's maybe sat through a webinar before, so the goal here is just to introduce how to ask a question. So on your screen, you should see a little window like that, which says click the arrow to expand the controls, and post that you'll see a little window where you can simply type in a question, some comment, feedback, and sorry, someone just asked a silly question. Thank you. That's where you can basically type your question. We can try and respond to it. It is live, so please feel free to drop those questions in. We do have an area at the end of the webinar for Q&A, but please feel free to ask questions during the presentation. So the question was from Jeff. Thank you, Jeff. Is BOYD versus BYOD.
Good on you.
Yeah, I make the common mistake as well. It could be my dyslexia, I'm not sure. So BYOD, which is Bring Your Own Device.
Which we can blame Steve Jobs for, basically. If you go back a little ways, I mean, I guess the first ones we really saw that made their way into the workplace that were anything like, for instance, a smartphone was the Blackberries, and I mean they were a business device. They changed their focus, over time, but well, they've changed their focus to the point now where they've basically killed themselves. If BlackBerry around next year, we'll be surprised. But essentially, after that, we saw the iPhone turn up, and that was a real game changer. Now, look, I'm going to fess up now. I'm an Apple hater. As far as I'm concerned, they're now the evil empire. I prefer my despots old style. I sort of tend to support Microsoft a fair bit, but the simple fact is that those Apple products like iPhones and iPads and so on are just fantastic.
Now, for all the customers out there, just so you know, Boyd does have an iPhone. He does have 2 iPads in the house.
I've been outed.
Yeah, he's busted. So look,
I've got two iPods, 2 iPads. Oh my God.
Yeah. So what we're trying to talk about is with Bring Your Own Device, we are talking about smartphones, iPads, tablets, or Android devices. And by Bring Your Own Device, we're talking about end users or employees or staff using their smartphones for business or work purposes. Unfortunately, what a lot of us don't think about is potential implications for security, the loss of intellectual property. I'm not sure about you guys, but my 2-year-old can quite happily swipe across the iPad, get straight into the device, access my email, access my business and personal Facebook pages, sit there and tweet about what they had for breakfast with no other authentication. This is what we're talking about. This is what the scary part about BYOD, or Bring Your Own Devices, can be. So,
well, scary for some. Depends on your perspective, doesn't it?
Well, if everyone wants to know that my little girl had rice bubbles for breakfast, then so be it. But I'm not sure the world wants to know what we had for breakfast that day.
looking at it from those different perspectives, though, I mean, from the employee's point of view, they just, they've got a device there that they use in their day-to-day life. They're using it for personal stuff. Then they go to work and they say, well, I can probably use it here, but all I want to do is check my mail, or I want to be able to display a few things on my iPad that might be useful during a presentation. Now, that seems like reasonable. No problems there, except that it's not necessarily the perspective of, say, management. I should say at the outset too that in a lot of cases it is management that is bringing these devices into the workplace. They're the ones who are playing with this sort of technology at home in a lot of cases, and they can see the potential for it and want to bring it into the workplace. So the management perspective may be more, how do I make the most of this technology without exposing the business and or the self, if they're not the same thing, to sort of the possibility of things like data leakage, exposure of anything that's sensitive. So they're going to turn around to their IT people and say, well, how do I do this? The IT side of it is fundamentally different again. The IT side of it is, how do I implement this and allow people to make the most of these devices in the workplace while still maintaining what it is that the management perspective wants? How do I prevent people from taking records away with them, sensitive information, intellectual property? How do I stop these things walking out of the business on these devices that are more than likely owned by the people who are controlling them? And if you look across those perspectives from that approach that I just want to access my email to, I need to try and put in place a framework, you're looking effectively at the gamut of those definitions of control. On the one hand, you've got that idea of enabling something that wasn't necessarily available before, to how do I limit limit the use of these devices, limit the possibilities.
Yeah, I'm going to bring up a slide now that we borrowed from a recent presentation we went to from HP and Intel. And what they were talking about is the ownership of the device. Who owns it? So if I'm an employee, I bring in my own iPhone, we sit there and set up with work email, who actually pays for that? Now, what we're seeing is that, well, it's a personal device that you're setting up for an end user. You pay us as the IT company to do the setup. But now what happens if that employee were to leave? Now, we have the facility, believe it or not, people, to actually remotely wipe that device. Now, unfortunately, there are circumstances where an employee may leave, maybe not on the best terms. Now, when we remotely wipe that device, that's all their personal photos, their SMS, and everything that's sitting on that smartphone device. But on the flip side, it's got the work email on it. So the whole idea of this presentation today is to maybe start thinking about policies, processes within your business environment that can protect the employees as well as the employers, both at the same time. Now, the slide goes through quickly. Now, where can I get it from? Pretty much anywhere nowadays, whether it's a company supplied or, again, brought into the environment. Who's going to fix it when it breaks? I mean, who pays for that? This is the big thing that we constantly think, well, that's a personal device. We're doing a repair on it, and now, well, who's actually responsible for the upkeep of that device? And who's going to keep it updated? Just recently, Boyd, what was that app that came out? There was a malicious app that made it through the App Store's filtering process.
Yeah, it was a Find and Call. That was probably the first one that made its way into the App Store that, guess what, it was Russian.
Yeah.
And effectively what it did was as soon as it was installed, it interrogated your contact list and uploaded all your contacts and all that information to servers in Russia.
Now, awesome. That's excellent. Now, even though the iPad store being Apple, it's very regimented, it's very strict. However, the Android environment that we're seeing out there,
it's the Wild West.
It's the Wild West. There are no rules, no implications. So all these free apps that people keep talking about, there could be potential to put your business or the business you work for at risk. And that's all we're trying to flag today is start thinking about this stuff, start putting some policies in about it, and that's all we're here today to just, I suppose, bring to the surface on a trend that we're seeing and give you guys an understanding on what solutions exist. It's great. We love our iPhones. We love our Samsung Galaxies. We love our, dare I say, Nokia device. or even BlackBerry. But these devices they're not, let's say, prone to viruses per se, but these style of free apps can potentially lead to some malicious intent or whatever their motivation might be. So
I think it's fair to say that a lot of people already have in place policies for this kind of stuff. We deal with a number of clients who, they're employing people on a, either on contract or a temporary basis, and those people are bringing their own laptops to the business, they're bringing their own phones and so on. And because they've been doing this for a while, those particular clients have already got in place policies largely written into employment agreements.
Yeah.
And that sort of handles that for the most part. But obviously, if you have got people that are bringing phones and laptops and you don't have that employment agreements, you've got to have something else. God forbid you didn't have anything like OH&S policies. Christ, we have a policy about not turning right out of our bloody driveway because it's too bloody dangerous.
Safety. Well, actually, Jeff asks or makes a great point here. Thank you, Jeff, for the feedback. What's stopping somebody downloading a virus or a virus getting onto their laptop or device at home? Then they come into the office environment, plug it in, and now they're actually infecting the environment from within the network versus penetrating the firewall. And that's a very, very great point. So
I reckon it's probably the way the bulk of viruses get into work networks.
Yeah, spot on. So believe it or not, there are solutions that exist. We are testing an app at the moment. When we say app, it is an app that does deploy to iOS, so that's iPad and iPhones, as well as Android devices, which not only allow us to monitor these devices, understand where they're located, but also to support them in a remote style way. So we do that with our desktops and laptops and notebooks and things like that now, but these portable devices like tablets and smartphones are definitely on the cards, and we're testing that now. So
a lot of our clients will have seen the monitoring solution that we use because they'll actually have that icon on their desktop or whatever.
Yep.
It's actually part of that.
Just spot on. What I was going to get into is yeah, that's right. It's all right. You have your coffee there. The whole idea of it is that our clients will get this sort of stuff, let's say for free or bolted onto the existing service agreements that we have. So we try to keep on the forefront of technology. We test and use everything that we sell just so we know that actually works the way that it's supposed to.
And I'm almost gadgeted out on that front.
Yeah, well, I won't talk about what sits in his top drawer, boys and girls. Now, is there any other questions or concerns about the BYOD that you'd like us to cover? We've spent a few minutes on it. It's fine. We're well on track on time. But if there's any questions, please post them in that questions window. We'd love to answer any concerns. This has all come directly to our customers from the feedback and the items we're seeing going through our help desk, so to speak. It's very common, hey guys, we've got a new user starting next week, can you set up a new computer for them and set up the iPhone or set up the new Samsung Galaxy? We go through the process, we have little training videos on how to, our guys are very conversant on how to get it all done, but there's no one really thinking about the bigger picture or the bigger risk elements that do exist that we are seeing as an absolute potential issue. So, no other questions?
Geez, look at you guys go.
You're all professionals, and we've all got policies and processes to cover potential threatening little devices out there.
All right, well, I guess we move on.
All right, we'll move on. What we're going to talk about now is tablets, notebooks, new sort of smart devices that are coming. So first we're going to cover a tablet. Now, by tablet, we're essentially talking about things like the Samsung, the iPad.
Yeah.
They're probably the two most popular ones out there now. The Samsung tablet, I mean...
I reckon let's start with the iPad because everyone's bloody seen it.
All right, go.
Yeah. Essentially, these were the first tablet devices out there that really gained traction. And, simply put, they're a wonderful device. I use one every day. I use it in different ways, but, I would say it's probably half and half work and play. Same sort of operating system as the phone, pretty good app store, reasonably good, only half a million applications in there. I mean, I think there's about 300 fart apps. So, I'm set on that front.
And there's 100,000 different torch apps that I can see.
Oh yeah,
so
absolutely. I've actually downloaded one for to make sound effects. And there you go. Ultimately, that's the one that most people have seen. We've been if we go back to the Samsung tablet, you can see on at the top there of that
Slide.
that slide, yeah. Those ones are at the moment Windows 7 apps, tablets. Now, Windows 7 is not wonderful for a touch interface. There's no way to get around that. Most of the Windows type devices, and let's face it, Microsoft started doing tablets 10 years ago, at least that. There was actually a version of XP that was tablet, and okay, it's always been pretty awful on that touch interface. It's used to style. In fact, there was I had to laugh. There was Microsoft does these future-oriented videos where effectively they're trying to display what they think the future will hold for us. So it was the first time that anyone saw one of those Courier devices, which was like the two-screened tablet. They did one of these a little while ago, and you know what? The person was still using a bloody stylus. Microsoft never really got past that. But what we're actually finding is there's a good reason for that. There's certain things that don't make sense with your finger. And we'll get to this later on. I tend to do a lot of note-taking on my iPad. And the only way to do that really is with a pen of some sort, because sitting there with your finger doing is not real handy.
So we'll go and get a couple of the, I suppose, benefits or pros and cons on the two style different devices.
This is the whole point. Where possible, if we're talking about a work device and we're talking about something that's going to have to join a domain, obviously a Windows tablet is going to be preferable. So what it boils down to then is if you have to go, or if you'd like to go in that Windows direction, you have to really look at how much of your work is going to be done, say, at a desk with it plugged into a dock with a keyboard and a mouse, as opposed to out and about. And if you are going to use this as a touch device, what applications do you have that are sensible for this? So, for instance, you could use OneNote if you're out and about to make notes. That's fine. There is a OneNote option for, say, an iPad, which I do use, but it doesn't do the handwriting side of it. So, what you have to play with is that balance between touch and typical computing. So if the bulk of it is going to be that typical computing and a little bit of web browsing and so on, one of those Samsung tablets will be preferable.
Yeah, so what it comes down to is what are you going to use the device for? Now, the iPad is obviously it's Apple-based. It's a great media consumption device. It's pretty good for browsing, great for email, and a few apps or productivity apps that we use. But how does that work in a Windows environment? Actually doesn't do it very well. Hey, I've got a Word document. How do I edit it? How do I look at it? And most importantly, how do I print from my device? That's where the Apple devices come a little bit unstuck. I'm not saying that it's not possible, but as IT people, we can tell you it's not that quite simple.
There is a suite out there that is like Office, but the problem is that if you edit in that particular suite and then get back to Office, pretty much you're not going to be happy with the results.
Yeah, so think of the tablets, the Apple iPad as a media consumption device. The added benefit of the Samsung tablet is that it is Windows and you can run Word and Excel and Outlook. And the awesome thing about that product, it's got a docking station, you can hook up multiple screens and all the rest of it.
The downside of it at the moment is I think, given that it's not going to be the perfect touch device, it's twice the price of the iPad.
Yeah, we're definitely holding out for the Windows 8. We'll talk about Windows 8 in a second and what that's going to do for touch devices. I've just threw up a couple of other, let's say, notebooks. One is the Apple Air, awesome device again, but Apple environment. So how does that work with your business environment? Probably a little more compatible than, say, an iPad.
We've actually still got quite a number of people who are using, say, MacBook Airs in a Windows environment, and it's always that last mile that's the problem. So things like printing, particularly shared printers and so on off the server, that doesn't work wonderfully.
I was going to say, we've got the HP ProBook, which is our normal sort of range of products we use. So it's a traditional laptop/notebook, supports docking station. So you come into the office with having a screen and keyboard mouse already connected for you, and then you undock it and take it with you in your portable. This is what we use in our office environment, and we do supplement or complement that with things like iPads and smartphones being, in this instance, an iPhone. So we'll go through some some apps that we use and recommend that are cross-platform, meaning that you could be in your Office Windows environment, save a document, go out and see a customer, client, friend, whatever, and then actually reference that information while you're on the road. So that's how we use these style devices in a Windows environment. We're definitely seeing the right words consolidated between the Apple world, portable world, notebook world, and most of us do work in Windows environments, and that's very, very exciting moving forward. We're also seeing a few new devices. Boy, you want to talk about a couple of these. So what's the top one there?
Well, the top one is the one that was released about a month ago by Google. It's called the Nexus 7. So it's a 7-inch tablet, and ultimately there's all sorts of rumours about there being a 7-inch iPad coming, which apparently Steve Jobs went on a rant and said would never happen because it wouldn't be a particularly good experience for apps. But there are pretty solid rumours that that's going to happen. But the Nexus 7, I'm intrigued by this. I never thought I'd be interested in something like that either. But starting at $250, it's a throwaway. I buy it, use it. If I don't like it, I'll give it to someone else. The other side of it is it's according to what I've seen in these hands-on things on YouTube. It's slick. It's a quad-core processor in it. So you're talking about 9 hours of battery life. It doesn't have 3G. It's Wi-Fi only, but it's light. It's literally pocket size. It has to be a decent size pocket, but you can get in there. And look, it's a consumption device like the iPad. It's not really meant. In fact, it's less meant for creating anything, but things like reading, watching video, listening to music,
Facebook.
Yeah.
What? Facebook.
What's that?
Yeah, I've never heard of that. What's that all about?
And of course, it's price point wise, even the most expensive version is going to be 16 gig, and it's going to be $300, and that's in our market, not the US. It's actually $50 less. God knows why. Oh well, small population. They need to make a bit more margin, but anyway.
No carbon tax. Yeah.
The one at the bottom, I find these ones intriguing now too. These are the Ultrabooks, the Windows Ultrabooks. The Folio. This is the Folio 14 Spectre. It's an HP Ultrabook. Now, the HP Folio 13 has been the current model that we've been playing with, and it's a very, very nice unit. These are effectively full-powered computers. They're i5 processors, ultra-low voltage processors, but plenty of go in them. 4 gig of RAM, solid-state drives. For ages we've been dealing with computers that, particularly notebooks, that have slower platter-based drives. These solid-state drives are amazing in terms of performance, and they're getting faster. The difference is a typical write speed for a normal hard drive is what, about 26 meg per second?
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
on a good day,
26 meg per second. Yeah, an SLC solid-state drive about 500.
Yeah. So performance-wise, they're obviously low on battery life. So,
but these ones here, just they are a fair income computer, and they're the same sort of weight, same sort of battery life that they're seeing out of the MacBooks.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Essentially, it's the Windows/Intel version of the MacBook Air, introduced to Windows environment, nice slimline, low profile, all the rest of it. So when we compare all these three things, and our customers come to us and say, look, I want a new computer, or I want to use an iPad, we would steer them towards a Samsung tablet because it's Windows-based at the moment. We will touch on Windows 8 in a second, which is out at the tail end of this year. That's a great device because it basically ticks all the boxes. You can undock it and use it as a consumption device. You can use your Word, Excel, whatever you need. When you dock it in, you've got the big screen, the keyboard, the mouse, everything to function. Got a question here from Lily. Thank you for asking the question, Lily. It's that for the tablet, if the screen is broken, can it still work? Now, I suppose it depends how broken it is. Now, the good thing about the Samsung, it does have an external video connector, so it does talk to external monitors. So in theory, if you had a big crack through the screen, not sure how good the touch part of it would, but as a computer, it would still function. The good thing about that is that it does have a drive in it. Worst come to worst, you'd be able to pull it out and extract the data from it, but it does come down to how damaged it is. With an iPad, well, it's all about the touch. It's all about the interface. If that broke, then I wouldn't know the likelihood of getting or using it as a normal machine. But
I will say the glass on these things is actually getting better.
Yeah, the Gorilla Glass.
That Spectre is actually glass front and back.
Yeah.
If there's any issues, the Gorilla Glass, particularly the Gorilla Glass 2, is very scratch resistant. So if there's any issues with that sort of thing, they wouldn't be doing glass front and back. It looks good.
Yeah.
But if there was a weakness, they wouldn't do it.
Yeah, in saying that as well, we've had a look at a couple of these in a recent demo, and they're talking about fingerprint proof, and not say scratch proof, but this new type of Gorilla Glass technology. So
is it coffee proof?
Yeah. Well, actually, they are water or spill resistant. Now, what does that really mean? I don't know. We'll take that with a grain of salt. So I'm just going to flick over to just showcase Windows 8 and the Surface tablet. Basically what this is Microsoft's venture into competing, I'd say, with the Mr. iPad and the tablet world. They're back into producing this style of hardware on a very, very big commercial scale. What I can see, the rumours have it that we are seeing the release at around October this year to coincide with the release of Windows 8. Now, for those people out there that don't know much about Windows 8, essentially it's Microsoft's new version operating system, all built around touch. And if you look on the screen there, you'll see all the little icons. It's that style of touch with nice big icons. Everything's, I suppose, made larger so you can use it with a finger. You don't have to use a stylus, but there are styluses that are available for it, I believe. But you can see the way it flips out. It's got a keyboard as well, so you can use it either touch or you can use the keyboard. Boyd knows about this geeky stuff. I'll get into to go into more detail. Also, there's only 2 versions of Windows 8 that we're going to see, and obviously new types of devices. And these will work on things like that Samsung tablet we spoke about. Anybody that buys between now and January 31 gets an upgrade to Windows 8 from Windows 7.
Yeah.
I think it's about $14.99 or $15 US.
They have to do this. They never sell a computer because everyone go, well, why would I buy one now?
Yeah, that's right. So we're probably excited about it. We've been playing with Windows 8 since early this year on our existing laptops and touching. We haven't had a lot of interaction with the touch interface, but come I think it's next month we'll get the RTM release. Basically, it's the final release before it comes to market, and we will be playing with it, and we might even do a couple of videos on it and put onto our YouTube channel for you guys to have a look at.
I would say I'm less than bullish about the Microsoft devices on the basis that I think from my perspective these will be the benchmark that everyone else will go ahead and beat by a mile. Microsoft have gone ahead and produced the hardware on the basis that their argument is that none of the hardware manufacturers had come up with anything compelling to show anyone. Now, from what we've heard from the HP reps just recently, the one that will be coming from HP will be a lot better than these Surface devices. But these are the first ones we've seen. There's the 2 versions. One's called based on Windows RT. Now, Windows RT is effectively the iPad competitor. It's the home version of Windows. It's designed for what they call ARM processors. So there's Intel processors which Windows devices tend to use. ARM processors are slightly different. There's a few different versions, but they've been primarily in a lot of the Android tablets and phones and so on. So they're actually going to have a full working version of Windows on ARM, but the problem with this is with Windows RT, it's not going to run legacy apps. So your old version of Office is not going to run on this. There'll be virtually no reason to use the Windows desktop. It will be this what they're calling the Metro interface, the tiles. Those tiles are active, and so things like your mail, you'll see the first couple of email messages on that tile if that's the way you want it configured. But that's the environment pretty much that you'll stay in. They call them full screen apps, so that when you launch them, it's like the iPad. You've got the app up there. It's the only thing you're looking at. When you minimise it, you basically bring it back up again from what they're calling the Charms bar. So it certainly is multitasking, but it's not. It's very much the same sort of experience as the iPad. The Pro version has a bigger drive. It's a little bit thicker. It's a little bit heavier. It does have a pen, like a stylus in it, but it is effectively a full-blown Windows 8 device. You'll see with the interface too, they're trying to homogenise it across the phone. Windows Phone 8 will be released also either late this year or early next year, and it is, believe it or not, the same sort of runtime environment as the computers. So developers will be able to port their applications from computers and tablets very simply to phones. There'll be some interface changes required and so on, but you'll be able to see that there'll be a lot of cross-fertilization of applications between phones and computers, and according to rumours, Xbox as well. Yeah. So,
for me, where I see this, it's going to be the best of both worlds. You can pick the tablet up, walk around, use it with your touch, come into the office, dock it in, and you'd have, in quote marks, a Windows 7 style experience with the normal traditional desktop, all the rest of it. I'm excited. I can't wait for that.
For me, this is where we really need to go.
Yeah, agreed.
And if you're looking at replacing a notebook or even buying a tablet of some sort at the moment, have a think and see if you can wait, because this is going to be, at the end of the year, is going to be an absolute explosion.
Yeah, in a good way.
Yeah.
Now, does anybody have any? I'm going to answer a couple of questions on the tablets. We're going to run out of time. We've been going for just over 30 minutes now. I'm going to answer a question that I see here, and then if not, we'll continue on to some demonstration of some of the apps, or our app picks for this webinar. I've got a question from Brandon about graphics. If we're going to use one of these in the showroom, which unit would we recommend? Not sure exactly on what you're trying to achieve there, Brandon. Obviously, we know where you're from. We won't mention that on air, but absolutely, these type of touch interfaces have external ports, so they can go to a bigger screen. And if we go back a step to the Samsung tablet, the models that we get do have a decent graphics card. We've actually had it running with 3 external monitors with no issue whatsoever, because it is a full-blown quad-core solid-state drive machine. Its performance is fantastic. So we've actually mounted one of these in for one of our manufacturing clients, and it allows them to run their time sheeting. So when people will clock in and clock out, they punch in their PIN number, they do what they need to. That's mounted on the wall. It runs all day. It's wireless, so the cabling, all it needed was a power, and it simply connects internally via Wi-Fi. So that works really well in their environment.
Just bear in mind too that take the Samsung device, the resolution's only 1366 by 768.
Yep.
Something like that. But it is Intel HD graphics, so the moment you connect it to a monitor that's capable of more, it will support that.
Yeah. Question from Mark in regard to the Microsoft Surface tablet. Does it only come with Windows 8, or can we get it with Windows 7? Good question. We don't know because it hasn't been released yet, but
no,
I would.
It'll be Windows 8 only.
It'll be Windows 8 only. I'm not sure if you could downgrade it. That's something we'd have to look at, Mark, at a later date for you. Okay. Any other questions there? No? All right, let's move on to the fun stuff. So what we want to do now is, end of the day, we sit in a Windows world, so we're using Microsoft servers and Microsoft Windows and Microsoft Word and Excel and Outlook. So we are seeing a lot of our clients have iPads and smartphones. So we want to go through a couple of the apps that we pick. Now, it's not all about iPad, because a lot of these applications are compatible to the Android environment. So people that do have Android tablets or have Samsung Galaxy Tabs, or whatever they might be, a lot of these apps we're going to go through do actually work with them as well. So we're just going to get our iPad up on the screen for you. Oh, there it is. So the first app we're going to talk to you about is called Reflection. Now, Reflection is the app that we're using right now, which is going to demo the iPad. So you'll actually see a live iPad connect wirelessly, and Boyd will be scrolling his fingers around it and show you that. So we're going to demonstrate. The first application is going to be the SkyDrive app. So let me just flick up the iPad so you can see it. All right, just a quick in the chat box, guys. Can you see the iPad on the screen now? Excellent. Thanks for the feedback, guys. All right, so what we want to talk about first, Boyd probably uses this more than I do, but it is an app from Microsoft called SkyDrive. Now, what it does is Microsoft, in their awesome wisdom, give us a little bit of free storage. I think are we up to 25 gig now?
Yeah, if you had a pre-existing Live account or Hotmail account or something like that, yes, it's 25 gig. I think outside of that, it's 5 or 7.
Okay. Now, very recently, they just updated the iPad version for the beta. It is awesome. Number 2, you can install the application on a Windows desktop. What it does, it creates a folder on your computer, and anything you save in there automatically goes to your SkyDrive. We're going to try a bit of a live demonstration here. Boyd, please open up SkyDrive on the iPad.
If I can actually
There
touch
we go.
it. There we
All right,
go.
so what you're looking at right now is my personal SkyDrive account. You can see I've got a notebook, which is a one-note document, and I've got a 2x, which is simply a little graphic. Now, the big power of this, I'm just going to do a couple of things. Is a lot of you guys might not be aware of this. Let me watch this. I'm just going to bring across Internet Explorer. I've logged into my SkyDrive account, and there's that photo that we talked about, and there's that notebook. Now, believe it or not, we can actually go and create a word, live, try my typing again, live webinar, create that. And you see now I'm actually editing a Word document live through a browser. So this could be on a Mac computer at home. This could be on another PC at home. You don't even need to have Office installed on your computer. This is where the power of this comes through. So let me just type something real quick. This is a test document live. I'm going to save that document. Now remember, this is on my SkyDrive account. I'm going to close that document out. Give it a second. All right, so now what will happen, you'll see the live webinar document. Now, Boyd, if we go back to your iPad, in a couple of seconds that will refresh.
Hopefully.
It will. I have faith. And also, this is my SkyDrive on my hard drive, and you can see here I've got live webinar sitting right there. Now, this is the cool part. Edited on my desktop. Close that. Save the document again. Get rid of that. Come back to the online version. I'll just show my one first.
Oh, okay.
That's all right. I'll just open up the live webinar document. And you'll see now, edited on my desktop is now live. So I created the document on the internet. I saved it to my SkyDrive. I used Word on my local laptop to make a change to that document, resaved it, and within 20 seconds, 30 seconds, give or take, it was live. Now, Boyd has now opened up that document on the iPad, and there is a document. Now, iPad will allow you to view documents, not edit them at this stage. Rumour has it, end of the year, we'll have an Office app for iPhone devices. I'm guessing Android as well.
Yep.
But that's all rumour at this point.
That was the later rumour, was that they're going to do it for Android as well. But there's going to be basically two ways to do this as well. They're going to release Office for the iPad and Android tablets and so on. But they're also going to, a lot of people will have heard of Office 365, which is the online version of Office that is, it's paid. So it's Outlook and all the rest of it. People can get it through Telstra as T Suite.
Yep.
That particular package is now going to be thrown into their open program. So we'll actually be able to sell people a monthly subscription to Office Live, or in fact they'll be able to buy. It's sort of a bit of a funny one. They've got a fully packaged online product, so you'll be able to pay once off to get access to what is effectively Office 365.
Yeah. Now, where we use this, guys, if we had a proposal or a brochure on a phone system or a website or a proposal on a new computer, we went out to see a customer, we can actually take our iPad and bring that up in front of the customer live, and it synchronizes back to the notebook, so I can do some work, take it home with me, log back into my mobile account, access the things, and work from it there. Now, we've got a comment here from Brandon. Is it like Dropbox? Yes, it is, to a certain degree. The difference is Dropbox on the free account, by the way, this SkyDrive is free, only gives you 2 gigabytes. The second part of it is you can't do the editing like we just did online because Dropbox is not built around Office. So yes, you can transfer documents, you can do images, PDFs, all the rest of it through Dropbox. It will work on Android, iPhone, iPad, and it will work on your desktop. I have Dropbox, so we've tested all of these. The reason why we chose SkyDrive is that extra ability to be able to edit documents on the fly through a browser.
Tom and I have spent a lot of time on online storage and online backup, and at the end of the day, Dropbox, a lot of people know Dropbox, it's very popular. The problem is that Dropbox make no bones about the fact that your documents are not private. So at the point where they decide to turn those over to someone else, they'll unencrypt them and hand them over.
Yeah. Now, Jeff asked a couple of questions. Is this cloud storage and security for sharing documents? Now, is it cloud storage? Sort of. The reason why I say sort of is, to me, cloud storage is a location on the internet where I can dump files. This is a little bit different. This is an area on the internet or in the cloud. Cloud is definitely the correct term here, but it's replicating or synchronizing with a folder on my local machine. Yep. So I need to have the documents on my hard drive for it to replicate up to the cloud. Now, if I delete them locally, they will delete off the cloud.
This is the difference. There's storage, there's sync, and there's I've gone blank. Storage, sync, and
that's it. Storage and sync.
What backup. I knew what I wanted.
Yeah, backup. Okay, cool. So that's where people, things like Dropbox, where you can just dump stuff up there. Same sort of thing. I've got a folder on my local machine. I put stuff in my Dropbox account. If I delete it, it will delete it from the Dropbox. I think with Dropbox, from memory, it has a 30-day attrition window, but outside of that, yeah. So it's not really. They all have their place. We like the SkyDrive. Wanted to demo it. We thought it was a great.
I actually think this sort of like storage and online backup and so on is a completely separate webinar, because there is so much involved in this. I think what have we been through, about 20 or 21 different applications, all of which have, say, 2 gig of free storage or whatever. There are, in fact, applications now that are actually designed to amalgamate all your free accounts into sort of one virtual drive.
Yeah.
So this is a completely separate topic.
Yeah, and we talked a little bit about the encryption, Jeff. You asked about security and sharing docs. With the Microsoft, you can actually share a document out to people, and it'll be password protected, which goes through. But the Dropbox, I've talked about, that encryption level is where things come unstuck. So, look, we're not here to advocate let's put everything up in the cloud storage. It's really just a simple way to show you on how can I work from home. You can see here we didn't have to VPN into the office. We didn't have to authenticate with all these levels of security. But on the flip side, I can grab Boyd's iPad right now. I can swipe my finger, log into SkyDrive without entering a single password, and I have full access to everything that Boyd puts on there. Uh-oh. This is where it gets scary, guys. We really need to start thinking about policies, procedures, password, something wrapped around this. And I do agree, it is cool, Jeff. It is very cool. Now, let's get on to the next one, because we are going to run short on time.
Oh,
as you know, Boyd and I, we could both, what is it, talk underwater with marbles or something?
Mouthful of marbles,
Mouthful of marbles. All right, so that's a reflection app, which is what you're seeing in the iPad. We've just gone through the SkyDrive. Now, one of Boyd's favourite called 7 Notes HD. Now, Boyd has a little stylus, a special little stylus compatible to iPad or for touchscreens. The whole idea of this is so he can use a pen or a touchscreen to actually take notes. So Boyd's going to bring up the app now, and you can guide the audience through this, Mr. B.
Okay, now there's essentially 2 different versions of this app. I use the free one, which is handwriting only. The paid version, actually, it does do handwriting recognition and predictive text and so on. What I've found is that I don't use it. What I use is this free version to simply make notes. So if, a lot of people I've been to see will have seen me scribbling away on this. What I tend to do is make a few notes as I'm going along, and you'll see as you get towards the end it sort of slides across. Effectively what I've got is a notepad, and when I'm done I can send it to myself as an email. You can send it to Twitter, Facebook, Evernote, which we'll have a quick squeeze at it in a minute. But as usual, Evernote is a paid plug-in that you need to buy.
Just show them quickly how it works. But we actually we're right on 45 minutes now, so we appreciate your time's very important. So we'll rush through. We've got 3 more apps to go, and obviously questions. So please keep coming through. You're more than welcome to stay online. We will stay on as long as we've got questions to be answered. So just show them how it works, Boyd. You've already
I've already done that.
Oh, you've done that. Eh?
Evernote.
Not up to that yet. Or we are going to go Evernote, are we?
Up to you.
Well, the whole idea of this notes is you can take notes on the fly rather than taking a notebook. You can record them. It then becomes flexible. We can put into a PDF. You can email it to yourself. We'll show you a product called Evernote in a second. What else does it support? What's that little? Just bring up that menu and what we can do with it, Boyd, in regards to where we can send it. So it's a very flexible app.
I think you need to reset.
Yeah, 1 second, guys. Welcome to live. There we go. We're just going to reconnect the iPad. think something fell asleep somewhere.
Wasn't me.
Yeah, not yet.
Yeah, exactly. All right.
Here we go. Yeah. All right, iPad will be back up on the screen now for everyone to look at.
Yeah. So all I was saying was that I can send this as a PDF to myself in an email. That's typically what I do. I'll send it myself as an email. So when I'm back in the office, I'll action each of the things I've written down, and I'll either stick it in a folder for each client, or if it's not particularly important, I'll just delete it. If I've done everything, it can go away. I can actually send it to Facebook or Twitter if I want. Guess what? Not interested. Not in that stuff anyway. And as I said, Evernote's another one that a lot of people use. Chrome. Wow.
Yeah, the next one I'm going to show you is Chrome for the iPad. Now, people may or may not know what Chrome is. It's essentially a browser like Internet Explorer or Firefox. Chrome is Google's version of the browser. On a PC, it does run really, really well. But on the iPad, can we define it as awesome?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I must admit I use Chrome all the time on my desktop simply because it's reasonably quick. But yeah, the browsers on iPad and iPhone that have always been a bit clunky. This is just brilliant. Same sort of tabbed interface as what you'd get on a
Desktop machine?
Yeah, but same sort of speed as well. I'm only using an iPad too, and it is really snappy. So the only thing I can say about this is it's the only browser I ever use on the iPad now. I've tried a few different ones, and this is the best.
Yeah. All right, so we're just going to flick through extra quick. We're going to go to Evernote. This is another application that is cross-platform, meaning you can install this on a PC, you can install it on a Mac, it will work on Android, and it will work on iPad and iPhone. Similar to the Microsoft SkyDrive that we spoke about, it's a central repository. It syncs between all your devices.
This is where though I get distraught. I always say I don't think I'm smart enough to use Evernote.
Yeah.
But it's not file based. It's sort of almost it's object based in the sense that you just dump anything in there, links, pictures, sound, locations,
video.
The whole shooting match. It just goes in there and becomes searchable.
And that one really, really cool thing that I like about this product, quick example, I've just written down 10 things that I need to get from Woolworths on the way home. I can take a photo of that into my Evernote. The text within that photo I just took becomes searchable. I'll say that again. So if I take a photo of something with handwritten or typed information, so boys trying to take photos of my ugly mug, we don't want that on here. So if I take a photo of some text, piece of paper or handwriting, it will analyze that image and make the text within that image searchable in Evernote. This is the power of Evernote. So I can put URL links, meaning if I'm browsing, a quick example, I was planning a birthday party for my 6-year-old. So I went through, I found 5 or 6 websites with some different themes. I punched them into Evernote. I rang my wife and said, honey, log into the Evernote account. She had all the URLs in there. She could click on them. She could post back, and we could almost have a two-way offline/online conversation using this product. And it works on iPad. And I was sitting on my Windows laptop, and she was sitting on an iPad at home, and it worked absolutely flawlessly. And so that added benefit of the OCR is why I like Evernote. It also supports a little snipping function. So when you install it on your desktop, it will plug in to your browsers. So if you're browsing a website that says, please add that to Evernote, you just grab it, select the window, and it will flick across automatically. I won't give you a demo of that right now because we are a little bit over time. So
sorry about that.
That's all right. We can talk underwater. We had a question here from Matthew. Okay, Matthew, talking about turn an iPad into a remote access device like a thin client and work on documents remotely. Absolutely. We have another app pick here, which is called the 2X Remote Desktop. This is a free app. Essentially, it's RDP to service. Now, for people that don't know what RDP is, basically it's remote desktop. So you can, Boyd's actually logging into a server right now, just one of our test ones. You can see antivirus running up on the screen there. It is a little bit clumsy, I'll be honest with you. I would not recommend this as a full-time, I've got nothing else to do, let's work from the iPad. However, in our world, as IT support people, if there's an issue, we can bring this app up, we can get onto a server, we can check event logs, we can reboot the box, we can see the status of the server, and that is also iPhone and iPad compatible. and there are different versions for Mac devices. But the 2X client is the one that we like. We use that, and we've had no issues with it at all. The really funky thing about it is that it's got an on-screen keyboard. It's very easy to switch between left click and right click. It's really hard to demonstrate that. But to answer your question, Matt, that's exactly how it works.
Cool.
All right. Now, with that too, we had another question a little bit earlier about, can you restrict remote desktop connections to be initiated from specific devices only? Absolutely. So if you wanted staff in this instant to be able to access the server from home, remotely from a different country, not only can you specify the device, you can specify the username and the password, and you can also specify the days and the time of day. Example, Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 only. And that RDP session will not work for that user outside that time window. So being in the world that we live in with technology and internet being rampant pretty much everywhere, it's not uncommon for us to work from home outside of business hours, or maybe tend to sick family or sick pet, whatever, but still be able to work from home. So this is where some of these benefits are there, but on the flip side, some of the dangers do exist as well about giving remote access to people you may not necessarily want remote access to. We use it for support all the time. It's a very, very big part of our day-to-day routine, and very powerful. Now, the fact that we're starting to introduce the app for iPad and Android device, we'll be able to monitor them and maintain them, as well as basically support them devices wherever you've got an internet connection. So, any other questions on apps? Now, we only wanted to pick 2. We couldn't decide, so we ended up going for 6 this time. In the next webinar, we'll try and keep that a little bit shorter. We are now over time, so a big thanks from myself and Boyd. We're happy to hang on and answer any other questions you might have. We do apologise for going over time, but we love this stuff, you can probably tell. Wow, we're getting some great feedback. Thank you so much, guys, for the awesome feedback.
And again, too, look, if you do have to go, we haven't stopped recording, so it will make its way onto our YouTube channel and so on. If you've got time to hang around, I can see the questions going on like it's almost like trending topics on Twitter, isn't it?
Well, sorry guys, I'm just reading the plethora of positive feedback. That is so good. That's awesome. Look, this is not going to be a one-time event. We will definitely be scheduling some more of these. We're probably a little bit more laser focused on the next one.
Yep, absolutely.
We've already got three super duper high-profile guests, and we'll do them one at a time, talking about different things in the industry. We're not going to reveal them right yet. You'll have to keep the carrot dangling just a little bit longer.
For my benefit, I think we need to publish a schedule so I know what I'm doing.
Yeah, and don't forget our website, our Facebook page. We do post on there, or I should say, Boyd does post on there a few times a day with new trending technologies and issues or concerns, or even some fun stuff. It's not all just being serious. We have our Twitter up on the screen, obviously our website, and our phone number if you do need to reach us. We are at the tail end of this, so if there's any other questions or anything else that you're not sure about, want to talk to us direct, just give us a buzz. We are more than happy to talk about it over the phone.
Okay, so for those of you who are leaving, thanks so much. We'll let you know when the next one is. If you've got questions that you want to ask offline, by all means, just give us a buzz. More than happy to come and see you. Now, I think we do have a few questions, don't we?
It's more feedback, and I won't read some of them. Some of them are probably not for mature ears.
Hello.
We're asking for specific app reviews. We'll have a look at that. John, we'll see what we can come up with. Thanks, Simon, for the nice feedback. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, look, guys, we're not getting many questions. We are getting some great positive feedback, and that's awesome. I mean, it's our first webinar, so I'm hoping that the audio was okay. I hope I didn't speak too fast, as I normally do. Yeah, look, here we go. Yeah, we're still getting some really great feedback. Just one thing, one of our members have asked here just to clarify, when is the Microsoft Surface or the Microsoft Surface tablet coming out? Right now, we believe the date is sometime in October. Whether that means it'll land in Australia in October, I would say before Christmas we'll have it here in Australia, but we can't guarantee anything.
Everything I've read suggests that being a Microsoft device, they've actually got this thing out in public already because they're going to release it at the same time as Windows 8. My only concern with that was that all the, in inverted commas, hands-on I saw was just that. You can touch it, but you can't do anything with it. So there was a lot of positive feedback about the keyboard on the cover, that it has tactile feedback, so it actually feels like you pressed a key. But whether it actually works, who knows?
Yeah, we had another quick question from Jeff about, I'm guessing, talk about our remote platform, as in cross-platform backup for lost devices. That's where you can use things like Dropbox and SkyDrive for a lost device. I wouldn't call it a backup device because you are limited on the amount of data, and if you're like me and you have hundreds of gigabytes, that's where things like that come unstuck. Now, in saying that, one, I'm testing 2 other apps at the moment that are traditional cloud storage, which means I've got an area on the cloud on the internet with as much storage as I like. I can make it a drive on my computer, be it S drive or J drive or whatever I call it, and I just put information in there. Our backup solutions that we put into our servers, our backup solution that we use on our desktop machines, we have this facility now back to our data center, which is an off-site backup. We'll definitely be talking about that in a future, let's say, episode or webinar. So I won't go into detail on that now, but if you want some more information on Jeff, please give us a buzz and we'll go through into more detail. But that is definitely a topic for discussion on how can we do this. Not only access it remotely, but have that off-site disaster that never ever happens, but we need to plan for. So we plan for the worst and hope for the best.
Like I said earlier on, I think the concept of storage versus sync versus backup has to be a separate webinar on its own. There's so much of it.
Yeah. Look, again, thank you. We're getting such great feedback. Thank you so much, guys. We had hundreds of people on this call, and the feedback has literally filled up my whole screen. So that's really good. We've got a lot of people looking forward to the next one, so we will send out another invite. Give you a little bit more notice next time, and we'll have the link embedded, ready to rock and roll, rather than a couple of emails about what's coming, etc., and a little bit more of a detailed agenda. So again, give us some feedback after this. There's a little poll if you want any topics in this instant. If you wanted a particular app, John, you asked for a particular app that you want us to review, put them down. Now, we're not app reviewers, but we're happy to look at anything because every day for us in this world, it changes every 5 seconds of the day. It is educational. It's exciting. That's why we work in the industry.
And apart from anything else, if there's one there that you've got your eye on, I'd like to know about it.
Yeah, exactly. We might learn something from our customers. We do every single day.
All the time.
All right, guys. Well, thank you again. And I guess another one in the can. Or
yeah,
we don't have a little tagline to end the webinar on. So, look, we'll leave it there. Thank you so much for your attention. We do apologise for going over time. And, again, we thank you for actually, giving us some of your time in your busy schedules, guys. We really appreciate it.
Thanks so much. And we will give people more notice next time. So have a good day, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yep. Bye for now.